Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's first video, to USA forecast for today's first video. So, as always on a Wednesday, have a look at the weather next 10 to 14 days in the United States of America. And that's going to take us into the early part of November, of course, or the first half of November. So I shall get on with that for you very shortly. Just to say that we've got the live stream coming up at 6 o'clock. So, at 6 o'clock, going to be live streaming our 10 to 14 day UK and European update, and that's going to be absolutely fantastic. So we'll see you all live at 6 o'clock, and we'll check in, see how we're all doing, and as I say, within the live stream, we will show you the 10 to 14 day update for the UK and for Northern Europe as well. These USA forecasts are YouTube exclusives, so if you want to be notified when we are releasing these every Wednesday, then you will need to subscribe to the GWV Links YouTube channel, and you will need to click all notifications as well, and then YouTube will tell you when we are releasing these videos. Thank you so much to everybody for doing that. Right, we're going to begin with Hurricane Zeta. So here we go. We have got Hurricane Zeta in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico right now. Hurricane Zeta is giving maximum sustained winds of 85 miles per hour with a minimum set pressure of 982 millibars. And it's moving north-northwestwards at 17 miles per hour. Clicking on Zeta and going to here, we can see that this is forecast to remain as a hurricane as it makes landfall on the Gulf Coast of the United States. So at the moment, the current position of Zeta is just there. By the time we get through to the end of today, Zeta will be making landfall somewhere on the Gulf Coast between Louisiana and Alabama, with a central projection of hitting the state of Missouri. Or Mississippi, I think, as we go through into tonight, and then carry on pushing north as it weakens, of course, as it loses energy over the sea, or as it loses energy from the sea as it moves over land. It will weaken, go down to tropical storm, and then it will go into a post-tropical feature as we move on into the end of the week. And it's going to be very quickly, this one. So by Friday, it's out into the Atlantic already. So this is moving very, very quickly. But it is going to give a major impact, major hit on the Gulf Coast. If we look at discussion, we can see that maximum sustained winds with this are forecast to go up to 100 miles per hour, actually. So at the moment, it's giving maximum sustained of 85 miles per hour. That is a Category 1 hurricane. But in 12 hours' time, this is forecast to reach 100 mile per hour sustained winds. So that taking it up to Category 2. So it is going to undergo quite a significant strengthening, actually, within the next few hours as it approaches the Gulf Coast. To get to a Category 3, that's got to go to 111 miles per hour maximum sustained wind. So it's around 11 miles per hour short of that. I don't think it's going to make a Category 3, major Category 3 hurricane, but that's quite a significant increase from what maximum sustained were forecast to be last night, because last night maximum sustained with this was forecast to be 85 miles per hour, throughout the period through the Gulf of Mexico and onto the Gulf Coast. So it's been upgraded by the forecast projection. Wind projection has been updated by around 15 miles per hour since last night. So, it's possible this might strengthen further and reach a major Category 3 hurricane status. At the moment, it looks like Category 2, but obviously they must be keeping a very close eye on this, because it must be undergoing very significant, or about to undergo very significant development, really, and strengthening. So the key messages, lots and lots to read about Zeta, but the key messages are: 1, life-threatening storm surge is expected along portions of the northern Gulf Coast by late today, with the highest inundation occurring somewhere between the mouth of the Pearl River and the Dauphin, I think that is, Dauphin Island, Alabama. Residents in the storm surge warning area should follow any advice given by local officials. Point number 2 is that hurricane conditions are expected this afternoon within portions of the hurricane warning area between Morgan City, Louisiana, and the Mississippi-Alabama border. Damaging winds, especially in gusts, will spread well inland across portions of southeast Mississippi and southern central Alabama tonight due to Zeta's fast forward speed. It's moving very, very quickly. Point number 3 is that through Thursday, heavy rainfall is expected from portions of the central US Gulf Coast into the Tennessee Valley, Ohio Valley, southern and central Appalachians and mid-Atlantic states near and in advance of Zeta. This rainfall will lead to flash and urban small stream and minor river flooding. Looks like another significant hit for the Gulf Coast. So if anybody's watching from the Gulf Coast, take care and heed all of the advice and warnings from NOAA and the National Hurricane Center and your local authorities. This is how the latest wind flow map looks from earthnorthschool.net across the tropical Atlantic. But let's pull this around and zooming to the Gulf of Mexico, because we can see Zeta showing up very, very nicely here in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. There it is. Looks like looks like a very, very significant storm, doesn't it? And this is going to strengthen further. So Zeta is currently some way off the Gulf Coast, but it's moving very quickly. In the next 12 to 24 hours, this is going to be slamming onto the Gulf Coast of the United States, and then rapidly pushing northwards. Take care, anybody that is in the path of Zeta. This is from TropicalTidbits.com. Let's see what GFS is forecasting for the tropical Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico area, Caribbean during the next couple of weeks. So again, that's the current position of Zeta just there. Let's rattle through. So Zeta will move very quickly onto the Gulf Coast of states in the next few hours. We're pushing northwards and out into the Atlantic by the time we get through to the end of the coming week. Things going quieter then in the wake of Zeta. So remember, we're looking at this area just here. That's the tropical Atlantic. This area is the Caribbean. This area is the Gulf of Mexico. Let's see if we get any more disturbance areas setting up. So there's something developing down there around the Yucatan Peninsula. Just an area of low pressure at this point, but that might be something that we have to keep an eye on. Otherwise, it looks like things are going a little bit quieter in the next week through the tropical Atlantic and Caribbean. There's some sort of disturbance area getting going just there. Something over Mexico just here as well. So let's see if anything else happens. We are into a very excellent range of GFS now, and it doesn't look like this GFS run is developing any more tropical storms or hurricanes. Really, certainly not well defined. Now, again, there's something developing through here. So that's one to keep an eye on, I think, potentially. That might be some sort of disturbance area, but the GFS doesn't do very much with that. Another little disturbance area is just there. This is at 372 hours. The one is just there. Of course, we're coming towards the end of the season now, but because it's been such a very big season, we may see a very late storm some point through November. I certainly wouldn't rule it out that we might get one more really significant hurricane at some point during November. But it looks like the GFS is setting things a little bit quieter, really, in the wake of the Zeta in the next week or two. But we should keep an eye on it. There are 3 disturbance areas, as we've already noted. There's a few little low pressure areas, maybe like clusters of thunderstorms or disturbance areas. There are a few of those coming and going, and this particular GFS run doesn't really do a great deal with them, but that doesn't mean that they won't develop into something. And the most, like the nearest one, is this one just here, which is early next week down there in the southern part of the Caribbean. So that's going to be the next one to focus on, I would have thought. If that little disturbance area does get going, will that develop quickly in something? We'll need to keep a very close eye on that. Right, more widely across the United States, this is how the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles are looking at Lincoln, Nebraska today in the Midwest and the Great Plains. So red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for Lincoln, and you can see that generally temperatures are going to be quite cool in next week. So dates on the bottom of the chart. So yeah, generally the upper air temperatures and surface temperatures quite cold, really, or certainly quite chilly. Up to the sort of early part of next week. Middle to second half of next week becomes much warmer. We have a surge of warmth then, pushing up the eastern side, the west side, I should say, through the Midwest, before there's a plunge in the temperature as we go into the second week of November. In fact, I've got some very, very cold members of the GFS ensembles appearing in the extended range, with these. A lot of these go down between -10 and -15 and 850 HPA. Some of them even go further than that, downwards further than that. So that'd be a really cold plunge if some of those come off. Generally, the GFS ensembles are not going, or the ensemble mean, with the white line here, is not going quite that far. But definitely the suggestion, I think, let's go to the second week of November, we could well be looking at a cool down. Precipitation-wise, there's a lot of dry weather coming up for Lincoln, Nebraska over the next 10 days or so, turning more unsettled as it turns colder, perhaps, in the second week of November. It doesn't look so. Lincoln, Nebraska is going to be impacted by Zeta, so it doesn't look like it's going to be much of a precipitation there, courtesy of Zeta. Zeta's rains will be further eastwards, I think, from Nebraska. Temperature anomalies from the 28th of October to 5th of November look like that. So a bit of a northwest-southeast split. Really many sort of midwestern and eastern states away from the southeast anyway, looking colder than average. So like the northeast, particularly the northeast actually, there's quite a big cold surge coming for the northeast. More about that later on in the video. And generally these sort of midwestern states, I mean down into these sort of central southern states, quite cold through there. The southeast does look a little bit warmer there, so like Florida up to Carolinas, Georgia, for example, just a little bit warmer there. And then generally the mild and average temperature, warm average temperatures are in the west and in the northwest too. So all of these areas just here, including probably Nebraska, looking generally milder than average in the week ahead. Precipitation anomalies from the 28th of October to 5th of November are drier than average for many northern and western states, wetter than average like in the east, away from the southeast again. You can see the path of Zeta quite clearly doing something like that. That's the path of Zeta and taking all of its rains through this sort of area. The southeast corner is a lot drier, of course, and then of course got all this drier than average stuff in the north and in the west as well. This is how the midnight run of GFS is looking for today. So in comes Zeta from the Gulf Coast, moving from the Gulf of Mexico, moving onto the Gulf Coast. Otherwise, many other parts of the states are looking quite mild with their upper air temperatures today and a reasonable amount of dry weather coming through as well. There's the upper air temperatures for today. You see that the coldest conditions are sort of pinned back to the North America into Canada, but there is a lot of cold air over Canada now, waiting to surge southwards. Of course, there's Zeta down there in the Gulf of Mexico. Generally a little bit cooler out to the west, a little bit warmer in the east and the southeast today. Now, as we go through into tonight, so we find Zeta pushing onto the Gulf Coast through the evening, through late afternoon into the evening, then overnight Zeta pushes onto the Gulf Coast and will rapidly then push northwards. That situation, by the time we get through to Friday, this is Thursday through to Friday, again, a deep area of low pressure across the eastern side of America, going up to the northeast. That, again, is Zeta pushing northwards and eastwards very, very rapidly. As Zeta clears away, we start to pull in some colder winds from the north in the wake of Zeta, and then we get this ridge of high pressure building as we go into the weekend across the north and across the east. That will bring quite a bit of dry and quite a bit of dry but also colder weather with it over the weekend. Then into the early part of next week, we get this surge of cold air from the north. This area of low pressure pushes down from Canada through the Midwest into the northeast. Now that's going to pull a real surge of cold air in from Canada. So there's the upper air temperatures for Monday, really plunging through the Midwest, and that very cold air will then spread over towards the northeast corner. At the same time, warmth is beginning to push back up the western side, so it's becoming warmer in the west, becoming hotter in the west, but a cold plunge in the north and in the northeast. This could well bring some heavy snow to many northern and northeastern parts of America as we go through into the early part of next week. That's Tuesday, 3rd of November. This is the day of the election, of course. So a very cold plunge from the north into the northeast of America. That could well bring heavy snow into northeastern parts of America. Will be a memorable election day for them, I would have thought. This cold plunge doesn't last all that long because we go through to the middle of the week. This Wednesday, again, this ridge building will be within very cold air initially in the far northeast, but the ridge will eventually start to pull up some warmer air from the south as we go into the second half next week. So any snow and ice from that cold northerly plunge through Monday and Tuesday will very quickly thaw away as we go into the second half next week because we're pulling up like a southerly wind into many of these northern and eastern parts of America. Upper air temperatures are really lifting up very significantly as we go through into the second half next week, so becoming much, much milder across most parts of the states through the second half of next week. That takes into the end of the week and into the following weekend. So it's Saturday 7th of November. By that point, it's turning more and settle out in the northwest and begin to turn colder in the west and in the northwest as well as the eastern side starts to pick up the warmer temperatures. So heavy rain, possibly snow for northern areas developing in the west and in the northwest as we go into more extended range beyond day 10 as eastern areas become drier but also become a great deal milder as well. There's the upper air temperatures for Monday the 9th of November. We're a long way out now, 300 hours away, but notice it's all flipped around from what's going to happen early next week. By early the following week, it's all flipped around. So many of these southern and eastern areas are looking significantly milder on average, but out in the west and in the northwest, it looks much, much colder then. A real cold plunge coming into like the Great Plains and even going out into the west, although the Pacific coast will be relatively warm there, of course. So big flip around in the areas that are cold and mild from weeks 1 through to weeks 2. We finish up looking like that. So generally becoming milder across most parts of the states by the time we get through to the end of this GFS run, which gets to the 13th of November, Friday the 13th of November. The cold air is receding back into Canada. Most parts of the states are beginning to warm up then. ECM looks like that. This is the Euro. So again, there is Zeta moving through the Gulf of Mexico onto the Gulf Coast later today, and overnight, so they're going to slam the Gulf Coast and bring copious amounts of rain, severe winds as well. Going to be very, very nasty. Then Zeta pushes very rapidly northwards and eastwards into the east part of America, taking lots of heavy rain with it and pulling down cooler air from the north and cold air from the north as well. Turning mainly dry over weekend, but will be chilly in the east. Then this area of low pressure up towards Canada is surging southwards in towards the Midwest and the Great Lakes as we go through to the open part of next week, pulling down a very cold northerly wind in its wake as well. So that will bring outbreaks of rain and eventually heavy snow to many northern and northeastern parts of America as we go through into the early part of next week. This is Tuesday, again, election day, looking very memorable for this far northeastern corner with a proper northerly blast out of Canada, bringing, look at those upper air temperatures, very cold air, minus 15 Celsius ice wave is surging through the northeast with those northerly winds from Canada. It will be bitterly cold, and there'll be heavy snow in the northeast. Some of the snow showers could even get down like onto the eastern seaboard, so somewhere like New York may even get some snow showers on Tuesday. Out in west, it does look much warmer and much hotter though through those western states. That cold plunge does not last very long. By the second half next week, we're pulling much milder, much warmer southerly winds back up, so any snow or ice associated with that northerly in the northeast will rapidly thaw away. There's the upper air temperatures. What a change from Tuesday to Thursday in the northeast. It's remarkable. I find it remarkable how the temperature changes across America, particularly at this time of the year. Yeah, by the second half of next week, looking much, much more across all parts of America, particularly so in the northeast, much milder then. And then we head up towards day 10, and look at this, got a huge contrast setting up in the northwest. So again, just go back to this. Got a deep area of low pressure developing here in the northwest. There's very cold air sitting across Canada. Up here, where I've got all these blue colours, really, really cold up there. Got hot air to the south of the low pressure. This will fuel copious amounts of rain through the northwest. Torrential thunderstorms as well, I would have thought. But eventually, this cold, as we've seen with the GFS extended range, as we know you go day 10 for Euro, as we see with the GFS, eventually this cold north will well plunge down through these western states as the warmth is shunted over onto the eastern side of America. Finally, the CFS-V2 for the next 4 weeks, these are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first week period takes from 27th of October, 2nd of November, coming week has the trough low pressure in the north and the northeast, of course, with a ridge out to the west and also to the southeast. So the mildest temperatures are in the southeast and also on the western side, but where we've got this trough in the sort of midwest and eventually over to the northeast, that's where those cold winds will be surging in from Canada. Week 2 is the 3rd to the 9th of November, with a ridge chain setting up through many parts of America, sending the jet stream northwards, and so we should start to see things getting milder, particularly in the east and northeast the second week of November, although the west, as we've already established, could go colder. This is week 3, it's in the 10th to 16th of November. A ridge is in the northeast and out to the west. Now, there's a bit of a trough down here in the southeast corner that might be associated with a tropical storm or hurricane that the CFS is picking up on there for that second week of November. Might be that southeast corner. Then go through to week 4, which is the 17th to 23rd of November, and low pressure then, trough low pressure towards the northwest and the northeast. Otherwise, there's not as much to be seen. Temperature anomalies for week 1 from the 27th of October to 2nd of November, mild average in west and the northwest and in the southeast corner, and then a big cold plunge through the midwest, and then eventually pushing over onto that northeastern side. Week 2 is the 3rd to the 9th of November, looking warm in the west and the northwest, or mild in west and the northwest. Although it's already established, some of the shorter range model output does want to pull some very cold air down from Canada into the northwest through that week 2 period. Still, the leftover legacy of the cold plunge down here in the south and in the east too, although not as cold as it is in week 1. Week 3 looks like that. It's the 10th to the 16th of November. Still looking significantly mild average in the west and the northwest. Cooler or cold average in the east generally. So an east-west split there. By the time you get through to week 4, which is the 17th to 23rd of November, all parts of states becoming milder than average. Rainfall finally, or precipitation, as some of this could be snow, of course. Precipitation anomalies finally, 27th of October, 2nd of November, brings wetter than average conditions to the east and the south. Again, you see where the path of Zeta is going to be. These northern states looking pretty dry. Most parts of America looking quite dry in week 2. It's the 3rd to the 9th of November. Most parts of America look pretty dry then. Week 3 is going to be the 10th to the 16th of November. Again, pretty dry through most central west states. The east and the southeast looks more unsettled. Again, this might be some sort of tropical storm or hurricane close to that southeastern coast in the 3rd week. And then week 4 is the 17th to 23rd of November. Weaker signals by this point. Dry on average in the east, maybe a bit drier in the west, and the central states looking near normal. So at the moment it's like the alternating air masses, but of course you associate with this time of year, you associate it in America with fall and with autumn, that you get these really cold northerly plunges from Canada, heralding, telling you that winter is coming, but then quickly receding away as the warmth from the southern states and from the Gulf of Mexico and most of the various tropical Atlantic, the warmth pushes northwards again and clears those cold temperatures away. So these swings from cold to warm are very typical of the time of year for the states, and we're going to have a lot of that going on, I think, in the next week or two. Of course, the first thing to focus on is Zeta smashing onto that Gulf Coast. It's going to be very, very nasty on the Gulf Coast again in the next few hours, and then all of that rain transferring northwards and eastwards goes quieter over weekend, and then we get this very cold northerly plunge into the midwest and over into the northeast early next week, but only lasting a couple of days. Just giving you a heads up that winter is coming, and then it sort of goes away. It becomes milder. Next week we may get a cold plunge into the northwest, although there is a little bit more uncertainty about that because it's over a week away, of course. And of course, the wider storyline for November will still be looking for tropical storms and hurricanes, because there's been such a big season, and these big seasons do tend to see further disturbances, further hurricanes coming along later than in a typical season. So I wouldn't rule out another significant hurricane at some point through November. Right, that's it for USA Forecast today. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a like. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure you subscribe to Gaz Weather's YouTube channel, and we shall have another USA Forecast for you next Wednesday. We're going to be back later on live streaming our 10 to 14 day update for the UK and for Northern Europe, and that'll be coming up from 6 o'clock. For this video, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.